Welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, and transformational coaches being the change they seek in the world. If you'd like to be featured on our podcast to share what you're contributing to making the world a better place for us all, please go to www.jointheyouworldorder.com. Be sure to like and follow our podcast for the latest episodes. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast on the Gnostic TV network, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible, leveraging podcasts and our huge audience on the Gnostic TV network. Today, we are chatting with Vivyana, right?
Yes. Vivyana, or V for short.
V for short. Okay, thedragonmystic.com. V helps spiritually awakened souls connect with dragon wisdom to empower their spiritual evolution, and she is the author of Dragon Wisdom, Quantum Leap Your Spiritual Evolution with the Dragon Crystal Guardians. So welcome to the show, V. It's really great to have you here. I always love chatting with you about this book. I love the book.
Thank you. Thank you. I have the book.
There you go.
This is my beautiful ebook cover that took many iterations, but I'm so grateful to have finished the book and to have gotten it published on literally the last day of the year of the dragon.
And you started it really at the first of the beginning of the year of the dragon, didn't you?
Yes, I was first inspired to write it in January 2024, only 5 months after I connected with my very first dragon ever.
So cool. All right, so we're going to ask you the question that we're asking everybody this year. What's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
My answer to that question is to progress on your own spiritual evolution. You can't change the world, you can't change other people, but you can change yourself. And so I feel that investing in our own personal growth and our own spiritual evolution is the most powerful way that we can impact the world.
I love that. And it's so true. There's so much noise out there. And if people would just realize that there doesn't have to be all this noise, if you just went in and communed with your dragons, that perhaps you would get the answers that you need to change yourself and to find acceptance with yourself. And in that way, the rest of the world will they'll vibrate nicer with you.
Yes, when we change our own vibration, we change the vibration of everything around us, because that's the nature of frequency, right? It extends out. And so when we change ourselves, when we progress ourselves, that higher vibration extends towards our environments and all of the people in our environments as well, whether that's in person or online, because my vibration is affecting your vibration right now, even though we're, in different countries. It's still how it works. But
weird.
The only way you can do that is by working on yourself and your own vibration and your own evolution.
Yeah. And how do dragons play into this?
Well, I didn't actually know how dragons played into this until probably a third of the way through my book, of writing my book. I didn't know that it was going to be a book about spiritual evolution. Originally, I thought it was just going to be a book about channeled dragon messages. And I thought, these messages that are coming through are so powerful, but I didn't actually know what they were doing, what they were for in the grand scheme of things, until I was about a third of the way through the book. And I was like, oh, hey, this is all spiritual evolution. And so then I had to come up with a definition for spiritual evolution. And that ended up being this big section in the introduction. But I shortened it to make it a little bit simpler. Like, for really long, explanation, you can look it up in my book. But for a short version, spiritual evolution is the transformative journey of growth, enlightenment, and self-mastery, where you align with your most empowered self, you embody your highest potential, and you integrate your soul's purpose into your everyday life. We were born here, we are all here with a purpose. And for most of us, that purpose is experiencing joy. And I think that is a really big message that is just lost in the whole metaphysical world, is we are here to experience joy in the physical bodies that we have. And in addition to our physical body, we have emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies as well. And we can experience joy on all these levels. And so that is what spiritual evolution is about. And the dragons helped me realize this through the messages that they were sharing, because I connected with my first dragon in August of 2023. And by January 2024, 5 months later, I'd connected with probably 60 or 70 dragons, and they all had a message that they wanted to share with humanity. And I knew these messages needed to get out into the world. And so I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to write a book about this. So that's how the idea for the book was born.
Isn't it interesting how books, you think you're going to write about one thing, and then they kind of take on a life of their own, and they show you things in the process?
Yes, absolutely. While I was writing the book, I actually I'm a scientist at heart, which most people probably wouldn't think about if I'm, the dragon mystic, but really I started, in science. And so I did a bunch of research on how to write a book. And one of the quotes that I read out of a book by Joanna Penn is actually from Seth Godin, who said, the book that will transform your life the most is the book that you write yourself. And it's something to that effect. I'm going to paraphrase the amazingness of Seth Godin. But he is 100% right. It's not a book that you read that is going to help you progress on the biggest and most significant level. It's the one that you write, because you have no idea when you start a book how deep you're going to have to go in the personal development journey to write your own book. I didn't know, and I was really quite shocked. And after I finished writing the introduction for my book, there was so much emotional processing that I was going through just writing the book, that it was the first time I got sick in 5 years was after I wrote the introduction. And I was like, okay, clearly my body and all of my, energetic bodies are saying, it's time to take a break now that you've written this part and, process. And so that's what I did.
And even, dragons are real. Okay. So we'll just start with that premise. But even though you think you're writing about them, it always comes back to writing about you and them. No matter what you're writing, even I think fiction writers, it's born from something inside of them that they need to express, and nothing comes out of nowhere. Everything comes from somewhere.
Yeah,
which begs the question, I wonder what Stephen King's life was like when he was young. Or Robin Cook.
Maybe you'll need to interview him and ask him that question.
Yeah, there you go. I might be afraid of the answer. So do you want to tell us about the first dragon encounter that you had?
Absolutely. So the first dragon that I ever met, I'll back up a little bit. So I mentioned that I started in science, but in 2010, I had a really big intuitive awakening due to a health crisis. At the time, I hadn't really been walking for a year. I was in chronic pain from a back injury that wasn't healing, and none of Western science could tell me why I wasn't healing and why I wasn't getting better. And so I had this, big intuitive awakening that reconnected me with the intuitive parts of myself that I had been denying for 15 years. And so in 2017, I started Metaphysical School, which was an online platform to teach people how to heal their whole selves and embody their soul purpose and, trust their intuitive abilities. And so when I met my first dragon, I was getting towards the tail end of running Metaphysical School because it was so overwhelming.
The dragon tail end.
The dragon tail end. And what happened in the beginning of August, so I'd been running my Metaphysical School for 7 years, and I had recruited 40 teachers, and we had 60 courses to help with the things that we were teaching and all of the things. And I was feeling pretty overwhelmed with all of it. And in August of 2020, I started seeing dragons everywhere, all over my Facebook feed, on, the TV shows that I was watching. I was getting, emails about dragons, and I wasn't in any Facebook. I have no idea where the dragons were coming from. I do now, of course, but I didn't at the time. And after 3 weeks of this, I'm laying in bed, not being able to sleep because I don't sleep very well. I get woken up by intuitive things a lot. And so I'm lying in bed, and yet another dragon shows up on my Facebook feed. And I finally think to ask the question, I wonder if there's a dragon spirit guide who's trying to connect with me. And nothing happened. And I was like, okay, guess not. Guess that is not a thing. But
they were sleeping.
It was the middle of the night. But because I had been working on my own intuition for, I don't know, 14 years at that point, 2010, 2017, 7 years at that point, I realized that I had an intuitive nudge to pick up one of my crystals. So after my intuitive awakening, I became a crystal healer and a bunch of other modalities. And so my headboard is obviously full of crystals, like most, people who are enameled with crystals have. And I picked up one of my crystals, which is this one. And it is a Priscelli bluestone. It's a really innocuous looking green and cream stone. Anyway, so I picked it up in my left hand, and that is when the miraculous thing happened. I felt a really powerful energy come out of the crystal and into my left hand and up my arm, into my heart, and then from my heart up to my whole head and down to my toes. My whole body was full of this really powerful energy. And because I had been working on my intuition for so long, I knew that it was a very powerful female energy. And I said, who are you? And she said, I am the dragon crystal guardian of Priscelli Bluestone. And I didn't know dragons were real at the time. And I was like, okay, tell me about dragon crystal guardians. What do you do? And she said, dragons guard, basically, I'll just paraphrase that dragons guard Gaia's or our Earth's crystals. And what they do is they protect the energy, because crystals, they're not like human beings that we, get to walk around, but they are, they do have consciousness. And so what gardens do is, or dragon crystal guardians do, is they guard the consciousness and the energy frequency of Gaia's crystals. And so after a little while, we were talking, and I said, it seems kind of hard to believe that there are so many dragons, because I knew more about crystals than I knew about dragons at the time, right? And I was like, it's kind of hard to believe that there are that many different types of dragons in the world. Of course, now I know there are so many more than that, than the thousands there are of dragon crystal guardians, of which I've only connected with a, small, very small percentage. But I said, it's kind of hard to believe that there are that many dragons. And she said to me, it matters not what you believe. But because I had practiced discernment, which is one of the really big lessons I teach about intuition, is, how discernment is so important. I feel like she respected me for questioning her and not just accepting everything that she had to tell me, that she decided to become my dragon spirit guide, and she rests within me, curled up usually when she's resting, above my heart chakra. And so that she was my first dragon spirit guide that connected with me. Now I have 3 more, so I have a family of 4 dragon spirit guides, and I've connected with over 100 different dragons, and I'm probably at 90-ish dragon crystal guardians that I've connected with. So that's my dragon connection story.
I love that. It's so personal. Yes. So do you have a difference between dragons that are crystal guardians and dragons that aren't? You mentioned you've connected with 90 crystal guardians, but 108 in total. So there's like,
way more than 108.
well, that you've connected with.
There are many, many, many different types of dragons, and I am an emissary for the Dragon Crystal Guardian Collective. But there are many, many, many different types of dragons in the world. So this is just one type. But there are your traditional Oriental dragons that don't have wings and fly because, they're spiritual beings. Dragons are spiritual beings. They're not actually physical beings on Earth in our, timeline. Do you want to think of it that way? But dragons are universal. They predate Earth. They were born when the universe was born. And so dragons are everywhere. They're interdimensional. They are intergalactic. And some of them have specific roles that I know of, and they have, many, many have roles that I know nothing about because I've only connected with, even though it's 100 or over 100, there are so many.
Saying you have 100 friends.
So I have 100 dragon friends. Exactly.
It doesn't mean there's only 100 people.
Exactly. So dragons are everywhere. And, people have dragon spirit guides if they wish to connect with them. And, most people ask, does everyone have a dragon spirit guide? And I'm going to be like, no. If you feel like you have a dragon spirit guide, then yes, that's your intuition telling you that you do. But I don't, some people believe that yes, everybody has a dragon spirit guide, and I'm not one of them. I think if your soul connected with dragons before you were embodied, before you incarnated into this life, then sure. And you can connect with them, and you can talk with them, and you can communicate with them, and you can receive their wisdom just like I and many other people on the planet do.
Yeah, there seems to be a growing contingent of people that do connect with dragons. I think you're kind of unique in that you work with specifically the dragon crystal guardians, rather than just like, oh, I talked to all of the dragons. That would make life really confusing.
The more you connect with dragons, the easier it is to connect with more. And so, yes, definitely, I can connect with other people's dragon spirit guides if they let me. Dragons are very particular about who they communicate with. So it depends on if that person's dragon wants me to communicate with them. But I generally get a sense of, do you or don't you have one, and can you communicate with them? And that's one of the things that I help people do, is I help people connect with their own dragon spirit guides through coaching and through the gift that I have to give to people, which is 5 steps to connect and commune with your own dragon spirit guide.
So how do people get that?
That's easy. That is a gift that you can find through my website at thedragonmystic.com/gift. So you can go straight to the URL, or you can go to my website, thedragonmystic.com, and see gift in the navigation bar at the top.
I'm writing that down.
Aw, thank you.
I should have written it down before. So, how have dragons actually transformed your life?
Well, there's a whole section of that in my book, and I had to think about exactly what they've done for me. But in a nutshell, I can share that connecting with dragons has given me a newfound strength, a sense of strength and alignment with my authentic self. Hence my name, Vivyana. My new authentic self needed a new name. And also a new way, a new empowered sense of embodying my soul's purpose. And so, what I think of your soul purpose is what brings you joy and what lights you up to the core of who you are. And so my, soul purpose, I've been on many metaphysical paths in terms of my soul purpose. I've done the healing route and I've done the seeker route. And now I'm embodying the mystic path of my soul purpose, which is sharing my intuitive abilities and helping others connect with theirs. Dragons have also given me an even deeper trust in my intuition, with a corresponding expansion in my intuitive abilities. So if I thought my clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, and clairsentience were, pretty awesome before I connected with dragons, now they're even more so. And I have an even deeper trust in that. My dragon specifically, my primary dragon spirit guide, her name is Ashara. And she is like my wise guide in translating source. And so if you've connected with source and you felt really overwhelmed by all of the, powerful information, Ashara helps translate that into really easily understandable messages. They've
like
also
a transformer. So it like takes this big energy and siphons it down to usable energy.
Exactly. And they have supercharged my manifesting abilities, and I have a couple of, cool stories about that. And they've also helped me to transmute long-held subconscious limiting beliefs. And so, in the metaphysical world, we're all pretty familiar with what limiting beliefs are, but only about 5% of our limiting beliefs are conscious. 95% of them are subconscious. And so the dragons have helped me recognize what those subconscious limiting beliefs are and transmute them into a more powerful, unlimited core belief. And so all of that is really part of my spiritual evolution that I want to help other people experience. And I do that with the channel dragon messages in my book.
I can say from a personal experience, I've known you as you've evolved through the book writing process. I interviewed you the first time, I think back in 2024, early in 2024, before you had decided to write the book, but right after you'd met your dragons. And then you allowed me the honor of being a beta reader of your book. And you had done a reading for me, introducing me to Polly, my dragon. And well, she's not just my dragon, but she's the dragon.
She is your dragon crystal guardian guide.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. And you do offer readings for people if they want to meet the dragon that is their guide, your guide. Definitely reach out to Vi, and on her website there's a little link and where you can schedule a reading. But the conversation was amazing, and I walked away and I didn't really know what to do with the information. And then I read the book, and the book just really helped me embrace the messages from all of these powerful beings. And, some more than others. It wasn't like all of them all at once were just like part of who I am. But they they brought up stuff for me. As you read, things also, yes, the best way to transform yourself is to write. But the second best way is to read and participate in the transformation of others, and you transform. You can't help but be transformed when you read anything, because
That's
it
the power of story. That's what story
right.
does for us. It allows us to transform ourselves along with the transformational journey of the person, the character that we are reading about. That's the power of story. That's why we write. That's how humans transmit knowledge.
An energy between each other, and over the generations and different like timelines. Even, I mean, it's there's so much power in the word.
I
if you
agree. I
Even if you
wholeheartedly
look at the
agree.
Bible says, and God spoke. It's how it happened.
The Bible is
But
also a story. It's a
it's
teaching
just
story.
it's a bunch of them. And
Yeah.
back to your point. So I love how the crystals and the dragons are interconnected in your book, because they give you something to anchor the dragons that you connect with to.
Something
Um,
physical
yes,
that holds its own energy.
yes,
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
yeah.
Because sometimes I've connected with dragons, it in so many different ways, but some of them were, like connecting with Ashara and the Preseli Bluestone. I held the crystal in my hand and the dragon came through. So that's one of the ways that I connected with dragon energy, is through crystal energy. And other dragon crystal guardians in the book, I had never even heard of the particular crystal. And like, I was crystal healing for many, many years, but there are some of them. The ones I'm thinking specifically are the ones from New Zealand, Aotea and Aroha. I didn't know anything about those crystals. I'd never heard of them. And those dragons came in and connected with me. And I was like, oh, wow. So this is super cool. I get to learn about dragons and crystals at the same time. And sometimes, like the second dragon I ever connected with, Gar, I connect with Gar through joy. And so the very first time I connected with him was riding my motorcycle. And then the other times I connect with him is the most memorable ones is when I'm riding my mountain bike. And so when I'm in a physical and emotional and mental place of joy, that's when that dragon comes in. And so you can connect with dragons lots of different ways. And I just wanted to share that so that, it isn't just me connecting people with dragons. You can connect with dragons on your own as well. But, if you want to, I can help you get there, because there are so many different ways that you can connect with dragon energy.
It, it's so powerful. And it's not like you tell people, okay, so go sit in your quiet corner and meditate for hours and hours and hours, and then maybe they'll show up.
That doesn't
It's
work for everybody.
yeah.
There's a story in my book specifically of a person, the very first person I ever helped connect with their dragon spirit guide,
Mhm.
that sitting in quiet meditation didn't work for them. And so we had to figure out another way for her to connect and commune with her dragon. And he was very insistent on connecting with her and very insistent on the messages that he wanted to share with her. And she couldn't do it in quiet meditation. And that's okay, because there are lots of different ways. And so with her specifically, we connected her and her dragon through a very specific tarot deck that she resonated with. And so in the book I talk about some of the things that she said about uh, how clear the messages are for her when she communicates with her dragon through the tarot deck. And it's just beautiful. And those are the moments that I live for, that bring me joy, is helping bring joy to other people.
And your book definitely does that. And I know that your readings definitely do that. It helps you to be able to connect with these other beings in a way that empowers you. It's like, it's not soothsaying, it's just empowerment. And who can't use a little more empowerment in their life, right?
Yes, agreed. But in addition to the message that I share, that the dragon wants to share with the world, and the deeper wisdom that that message means, because some of the messages are 2 words long. Like, be calm or be patient. In addition to that, I also have included inspired actions to integrate the dragon wisdom into your life. And these are in the forms of affirmations and reflection questions, meditations, visualizations. And so it's not just all, metaphysical, it's also physical ways that you can integrate the dragon wisdom into your life.
Practical. It's
Practical.
really a resource book.
Yes.
I can hardly wait for it to go. Right now it's an ebook.
Yeah.
And Vi's promised me that someday it's going to be an actual book, so I can put it on my bookshelf and
It will be
hold
an
it.
actual physical book. It will be in paperback and hardcover, and it will also be an audiobook. So there's still more to come. Just my book is self-published. I've been an editor for 18 years, so this was just the next step, writing my own book. But each one of those pieces of self-publishing is a whole learning curve in itself. And so I really wanted to get my book finished in the year of the dragon. And so the publishing date for the ebook, which is the easier of the formatting routes to go, I got it just under the wire on January 28th, the last day of the year of the dragon.
I love that for you, and that you were able to, like, and doing it incrementally is kind of nice too, because now I've read your book, I've got the ebook, and I can anticipate. Just, it's not like you didn't throw all the gifts out there at one time and say, "Oh, have at it." It's like you can just like have introductions as they come into this realm of reality, where I can look forward to having the audiobook, and I can look forward to having the paperback book, and then I can look forward to the hardback, and yeah,
One thing at a time.
one
Because
thing at a
every
time.
step of the journey is one step at a time.
Yeah, and that's great. It offers different opportunities for it to be reintroduced also. From a marketing perspective, I think that's kind of genius,
Oh,
honestly.
thank you. Well, I learned that from participating in my first multi-author book, which was called Manifesting Magical Moments. My chapter is called Manifesting Magic with Dragons.
I love that. So, how can people find your book, and how can people get in touch with you?
The easiest way to find the book and get in touch with me is through my website, thedragonmystic.com. So on the navigation bar, you can see it says books, because my book, The Dragon Wisdom, is my second book. I just mentioned the first one was Manifesting Magical Moments. So you can find my books through my website. Figured there's some on my homepage, and it's in the navigation bar under books. But you can also find my coachings and my readings and my gift, which is, again, 5 steps to connect and commune with your own dragon spirit guide. All on my website, thedragonmystic.com.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Vi. This has been a great conversation, and I love talking about your book.
Thank you. Thank you for actually making my book better than it was going to be originally. So it was Jill's advice to include a couple of the stories, the dragon stories, that were not in the original book. And so thank you for making the book even better than it was. Your feedback was instrumental.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I feel like it was an honor to be able to read it and to meet all the dragons and to make them a part of my life, which had I not met you, they never would have been.
I don't know. You were already part of the Dragon Pack before I met you. That's how we originally connected.
Interesting.
So dragons were part of your life before we connected. I just maybe deepened it a little bit.
Very cool. So you guys can get a copy of the Dragon Mystic book and schedule your private consultations with Vi by going to thedragonmystic.com. And I want to thank you all for tuning in with us today. If you have a podcast or you're interested in starting one to get your message in front of our huge and active audience, be sure to reach out to us at jill@gnostictv.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission, and offer a variety of ways to do this on the Gnostic TV Network platform. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today.
Are you looking to improve your income? Well, with just 5 minutes on Riot XAI, you can start making your money work smarter. Let me show you how it's done. Let's talk about passive income. On Riot XAI, all it takes is 5 minutes of your time, and you just need to click 5 times. You let the AI do its thing, and you can see a return of around 1.5% instantly. For example, if you trade $1,000, that's $15 earned in moments, just like that. But that's just the start. With our mission bonuses, you can take your earnings even further. Refer just 5 users and you'll get an instant $100 bonus reward. Bring in 20 users and that reward jumps to over $350. These missions are designed to reward you as you build your network. Next, let's talk about trading commissions. Every time one of your direct referrals makes a trade, you earn 12% of that profit. For example, if they make $100, you earn $12. And the best part, all your trading commissions are automatically calculated and clearly visible on the platform. Plus, you earn 4% of your second line referrals and 2% of your third line, maximizing your income as your network grows. Finally, and most importantly, we have our rank bonuses, which not only boost your income, but also unlock the power of compounding interest. Moving from C1 to C2 boosts your income by 20% every time you trade. Remember that $15 income from your $1,000 trade? With C2, it becomes $18 instantly, and the higher you climb, the more you earn, all while your income continues to compound. Riot XAI is all about team trading. By working together, you and your network can unlock greater earnings and earn more rewards in the coming months. Are you ready to elevate your income? Join Riot XAI today and start trading smarter, not harder.
For the U World Order Showcase podcast. Remember, if you would like to be featured on this podcast as a life, health, or transformational coach, please visit www.jointheuworldorder.com. We look forward to talking to you next time as we present another life, health, or transformational coach, being the change they seek.